Now we come to Sutta number 3.8.75. Now the Venerable Ananda went to see the Exalted One, and on coming to him saluted him and sat down at one side. As he thus sat, the Exalted One said this to the Venerable Ananda. Ananda, one for whom you have fellow feeling, and those who think you should be listened to, whether friends or intimates or kinsmen or blood relations. Such ought to be advised about, grounded on, established in three particulars. What three? They should be advised about, grounded on, established in unwavering loyalty to the Buddha. Thus, he it is the Exalted One, that Arahant, who is a fully enlightened one, etc., teacher of Devas and mankind, a Buddha, Exalted One. They should be advised about, grounded on, established in unwavering loyalty to Dhamma. Thus, proclaimed by the Exalted One is Dhamma, etc., etc., to be understood by the intelligent, each for himself. They should be advised about, grounded on, established in unwavering loyalty to the order or Sangha. Thus, they walk righteously, the Exalted One's order of disciples, etc., etc., a field of merit unsurpassed for the world. There may be change, Ananda, in the four great phenomena, the elements of earth, water, fire and wind. But there can be no change in the Aryan disciple blessed with unwavering loyalty to the Buddha. By change I mean this, that such a one should be reborn in hell, in the womb of an animal, or in the realm of ghosts, is an impossibility. There may be change, Ananda, in the four great phenomena, but for the Aryan disciple blessed with unwavering loyalty to the Dhamma, there can be no change. I mean that such a one should be reborn in hell, in the womb of an animal, in the realm of ghosts, is an impossibility. There may be change, Ananda, in the four great phenomena, but for the Aryan disciple blessed with unwavering loyalty to the Sangha, there can be no change. I mean that such a one should be reborn in hell, in the womb of an animal, in the realm of ghosts, is an impossibility. So, Ananda, one for whom you have fellow feeling, should be established in these three particulars. Here in this sutta, the Buddha is saying that those of our family members and friends and others who will listen to us, we should bring them to have faith in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. If they have faith in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, then they'll learn the Dhamma. And when they understand the Dhamma and they have unshakable faith in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, then the Buddha has said elsewhere that means they have entered the stream, and a person who has entered the stream has become an Arya. He can never be reborn into the three woeful planes, can never be reborn in the hell realm, in the animal realm or in the ghost realm. But then how do we attain unshakable faith? We have to remember it is by understanding suttas like these, the words of the Buddha. I always say that the suttas, understanding the suttas are very, very important. You remember when we recite the Itipiso chant, when we come to the Sangha, Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho. What is this Savaka Sangho? Savaka are listeners or hearers. That means the Sangha of listeners or hearers are the Buddha's disciples. They always listen to the Buddha's words. That's why they are called Savakas. So we have to be like them. We can continue listening to the Buddha's words, and then we get a lot of wisdom and we have right view, and then we would have entered the stream according to the Buddha's teaching. Now the next sutta is 3.8.76. Now the Venerable Ananda went to see the Exalted One and said this to him. As to the saying existence, bhava, or being, Lord, pray to what extent is there existence? And the Buddha said, if there were no realm of sensual desire and no action or karma to ripen therein, Ananda, would any sensual realm existence be manifested? Surely not, Lord. In this way, Ananda, action or karma is the field, consciousness is the seed, craving the moisture. For beings that are hindered by ignorance, fettered by craving, consciousness is established in the lower realm, there's the sensual realm. Thus in the future there's repeated rebirth. In this way there is existence, Ananda. Again, if there were no realm or form and no action or karma to ripen therein, would any form, realm, existence be manifested? Surely not, Lord. In this way, action, karma, is the field, consciousness the seed, craving the moisture. For beings that are hindered by ignorance, fettered by craving, consciousness is established in the intermediate realm, that is the form realm. Thus in the future there is repeated rebirth. Again, if there were no formless realm and no action to ripen therein, would any formless realm existence be manifested? Surely not, Lord. In this way, Ananda, action is the field, consciousness the seed, craving the moisture. For beings that are hindered by ignorance, fettered by craving, consciousness is established in the higher realm. Thus in the future there is repeated rebirth. In this way, Ananda, there is existence. This is a sutta that talks about existence. And here in this sutta, the Buddha is saying that a few things contribute to existence. One is karma. Karma here is considered the field. And second one is consciousness. Consciousness is the seed. And third one is craving, the moisture. And because of ignorance and craving, consciousness is re-established in another realm. So there are some monks who use this sutta to support the Abhidhamma and commentarial interpretation of dependent origination. In the dependent origination, the 12 links, the first one is avijja, ignorance, avijja, paccaya, sankhara. The second one is sankhara. And sankhara is interpreted by the commentaries and the Abhidhamma as karma, action, which leads to the third, sankhara, paccaya, vijnana, which leads to vijnana, coming to existence. However, in this sutta, if we consider carefully, karma is only the field, whereas craving is the moisture. Craving is the moisture. For the seed to be reborn, for the seed to sprout, it would seem to me that craving is more important, not karma, because there is a sutta somewhere else which says that the cause for life, the main cause for there being life form is moisture. Moisture, water. Anywhere where there is more water or moisture, there will be life. That's why nowadays scientists, when they investigate the other planets, they try to look for any sign of moisture. If there's any sign of moisture, then they are sure that there must be life somewhere in that planet. So here, to me, the craving is more important than the action karma. Whereas the commentarial and Abhidhamma interpretation is that karma is the one that is the main cause for rebirth. But I like to quote another sutta, Majjhima Nikaya number 43, where Sariputta, Venerable Sariputta, was asked, how is renewal of existence in the future generated? And Sariputta replied, renewal of existence in the future is generated through the delighting in this and that on the part of beings who are hindered by ignorance and fettered by craving. So here the Venerable Sariputta is saying, because of delighting in this and that, which means actually craving. Also, another reason why we can say that karma is not the main cause for rebirth, for existence, is because you see a case like Angulimala. Angulimala, he created a lot of evil karma, and this evil karma should have brought him down to the woeful plains, if not to hell itself. But because he destroyed craving, he struggled so hard and became an arahant, destroyed ignorance and destroyed craving, that there was no more rebirth for him, even though there was a lot of karma that he had done. So the main thing that got him out of samsara is that he destroyed craving. Another example is the asanya satta. Those beings in the fourth jhana realm, in the form realm, there's a type of beings who have no perception. They are born just with a body, but no perception. So, in that state, they do not create any karma. Even though they do not create any karma, it doesn't mean that they have stopped existence. When they pass away from that state, they are reborn again. So karma does not seem to be as important as craving. The other thing about this sutta, which is very important and which I like to mention, is the commentary statement. There's a very important commentary statement here, and the commentary says about this sutta, about the three forms of the three realms of existence, the sensual desire realm, the form realm, and the formless realm. This commentary says these are the three forms or spheres of mundane consciousness. There is a fourth, which is supramundane or supernormal. To our waking or normal consciousness, this is reckoned unconsciousness.
The fourth type of consciousness mentioned here may be referring to the state of deep sleep without dreaming, or the state of Nibbana itself.
Now we come to Sutta number 3.8.78. At one time, the Exalted One said to the Venerable Ananda, "What do you think, Ananda? Will every sort of moral practice, way of living, sanctity of life, and excellence of service have a like fruit hereafter?" "I would not say so, Lord, that it is inevitably so." "Well then, do you go into particulars?" said the Buddha. And Ananda replied, "For instance, Lord, that moral practice, way of living, sanctity of life, and excellence of service which increase unprofitable states and decrease profitable states in him who observes them, such moral practice and so forth have not a like fruit hereafter. But that moral practice, way of living, sanctity of life, and excellence of service which increase profitable states and decrease unprofitable states in him who observes them, such moral practice have a like fruit hereafter." So said the Venerable Ananda, and the teacher agreed with him. Then the Venerable Ananda, thinking, "The teacher agrees with me," rose up from his seat, saluted the Exalted One by the right, and went away. Now not long after the Venerable Ananda was gone, the Exalted One addressed the monks, saying, "Monks, Ananda is a learner, yet it would not be easy to find his equal in wisdom." And that's the end of the sutta. This learner, I think most of you know, is Seka, and it means that that person is an Arya, a noble one, but he is not yet an Arahant. He has not finished his work. That means he's one of the 7 types of Aryas. The first path, first fruit, second path, second fruit, or third path, third fruit, or even the fourth path. Later, if you look into the suttas, you'll find that path and fruit in the suttas are separate. They are separate persons, and unlike the commentaries and the Abhidhamma, in the suttas we find that the path person is not existing just for one moment and then getting the fruition. So in this sutta, the Buddha is saying that does every sort of spiritual life bring a similar fruit hereafter? That means give that person goes to a good rebirth. And Ananda said it is not always so. If there is a moral practice, a way of living, a spiritual path which increase unprofitable states and decrease profitable states, then you won't get the expected fruit. That means get a good rebirth. And what is this? This is like those external practices which were prevalent during the Buddha's time. If we look into the suttas, we find there were many types of external sect practices which were unbeneficial. Some people, there were some ascetics who behaved like dogs. They walked like dogs. They ate like dogs. They lay down like dogs. And some imitated the behavior of cows, eating grass, and etc. And some they stand. They never sit down. Stand all the time. And some they are naked. They have this naked practice. And some they hold up their hand, left hand or the right hand. They never put it down. For years and years, they just keep it up like that. So all these practices are unbeneficial practices, and they would not give a profitable result. But what is important, the Venerable Ananda said, which the Buddha agreed, was that kind of spiritual life which increases profitable states and decreases unprofitable states. Then you would get the desired result. And what is this increasing profitable states? Profitable states are those wholesome states of mind where a person has less greed, less hatred, and less delusion. Whereas the unprofitable states are those where you have more defilements, you have more greed, hatred, and delusion, and other similar qualities like jealousy, anger, malice, or ill will, etc. So the Buddha said that even though Venerable Ananda is a learner, and we know that Venerable Ananda was a Sotapanna, a first fruit attainer, and Buddha said even though he's only a first fruit attainer, it will be quite difficult to find his equal in wisdom, which shows that Venerable Ananda is a very wise person. Now the next sutta is 3.8.79. Now the Venerable Ananda went to see the Exalted One, etc., etc. As he sat to one side, he said, Lord, there are these three sorts of scents whose fragrance spreads along with the wind, but not against the wind. What three? Root scent, hardwood scent, and the scent of flowers. Pray, Lord, is there any sort of scent whose fragrance spreads with the wind, against the wind, and both ways alike? And the Buddha replied, there is such a scent, Ananda. And Venerable Ananda asked, what is that scent, Lord? And the Buddha said, in this connection, Ananda, in whatsoever village or district there is a woman or a man who has taken refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, who abstains from killing, stealing, adultery, from lying, from addiction to intoxicants that cause sloth, who is virtuous, of a kind nature, who dwells at home with heart free from the taint of stinginess, who is open-handed, pure-handed, delighting in giving up, one to ask a favor of, one who delights in sharing gifts with others. Of such a one, recluses and hermits sing the praises in all quarters thus. In such and such a village or district, there is a woman or a man who has taken refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, who abstains from killing, stealing, adultery, lying, addiction to intoxicants, who is virtuous, of a kind nature, who dwells at home with heart free from the taint of stinginess, who is open-handed, pure-handed, delighting in giving up, one to ask a favor of, one who delights in sharing gifts with others. Moreover, the Devas, the celestial beings, and non-humans sing his praises in the same manner. This, Ananda, is the sort of scent whose fragrance goes with the wind, against the wind, and both ways alike. In this sutta, the Buddha said there is the scent of the virtue. If you have the scent of virtue, it spreads far and wide. Not only these renunciants know it, but all the spirits around, they know it, like the tree spirits, the earth spirits, the river spirits, and higher spirits all around. They know and they spread the word around. So, since all these beings know, you can be quite sure if a person is virtuous, he will have a lot of protection. The next sutta is 3.8.80. Now the Venerable Ananda went to see the Exalted One, paid respect, etc., and sat to one side. As he sat to one side, he said this to the Lord, to the Bhagawa, Exalted One. In the presence of the Exalted One, Lord, in His very presence, I have received this saying, Ananda, a Bhikkhu, the disciple of the Buddha Sikhin, standing in the Brahma world, could make its 1,000 realms hear his voice. Pray, Lord, how far can the Arahant, the fully enlightened one, make his voice heard? And the Buddha said, he was just a disciple, Ananda. Immeasurable are the Tathagatas. That means the Buddhas. Then a second time, and yet a third time, the Venerable Ananda put the question. Then the Exalted One answered, have you ever heard, Ananda, of the system of the small 1,000-fold worlds? And Ananda said, now is the time for this, O Exalted One. Now is the time for this, O Wayfarer, Sugata, for the Exalted One to speak. Hearing the Exalted One, the monks will bear it in mind. And the Buddha said, then Ananda, do you listen? Attend closely and I will speak. I will, Lord, replied the Venerable Ananda to the Exalted One. And the Buddha said, as far as the moon and sun move in their course and light up all quarters with their radiance, so far extends the 1,000-fold world system. Therein are 1,000 moons, 1,000 suns, 1,000 Sumerus, lords of mountains, 1,000 Jambudipas, 1,000 Aparagoyanas, 1,000 Uttarakurus, 1,000 Puba Videhas, 4,000 mighty oceans, 4,000 mighty rulers, 1,000 four great rulers, 1,000 heavens of the 33, 1,000 Yama heavens, 1,000 heavens of the Tusita Devas, 1,000 heavens of the Devas that delight in creation, 1,000 heavens of those Devas that delight in others' creations, 1,000 Brahma heavens. This, Ananda, is called the system of the small 1,000-fold worlds. A system 1,000-fold the size of this is called the medium 1,000-fold world system. A system 1,000-fold the size of this is called the great 1,000-fold world system. Now Ananda, if he wished it, the Tathagata could make his voice heard throughout this last named world system, or even further if he chose. And Ananda said, pray Lord, how could that be done? And the Buddha said, in this connection, Ananda, the Tathagata suffuses with radiance the great 1,000-fold world system. When its inhabitants perceive this, then the Tathagata would give utterance and make the sound heard. That is how he would do it. At these words, the Venerable Ananda exclaimed to the Venerable Udayan, it is indeed a gain for me. Well gotten indeed by me it is that my teacher is of such mighty power and majesty. Whereupon the Venerable Udayan said to the Venerable Ananda, what is it to you, Reverend Avuso, Ananda, that your teacher should be of such mighty power and majesty? At these words the Exalted One said to the Venerable Udayan, say not so, Udayan, say not so, Udayan. If Ananda were to make an end without attaining perfect freedom from passion, yet by virtue of his heart of faith, he would 7 times win rule among the Devas. 7 times would he win rule in this rose apple land, Jambudipa. However, Udayan, in this very life, Ananda shall attain to final passing away. This is quite an interesting sutta where the Buddha quoted the previous Buddha, Buddha Sikhin. Buddha Sikhin in some sutta, the Buddha mentioned that he contemplated 91 world cycles, the past 91 world cycles, and he saw 6 Buddhas. 91 world cycles, aeons. It's such a long time. He only found 6 Buddhas, and one of those was the Buddha Sikhin. And he had a disciple, Abhibu. There's another sutta about this incident where the disciple Bibu, he spoke a few verses and 1,000 world systems could hear his voice. And yet the Buddha says that he was just a disciple compared to the Buddhas. And the Buddhas can make the voice heard over a long distance. But I think I've seen one of the suttas where the Buddha said that not all Buddhas are the same. So in this case, our Buddha is just quoting himself. And first he talked about the 1,000-fold world system. And it is mentioned somewhere else that a world system consists of a sun. Every world system consists of a sun, what we call a star. And around that sun are supposed to be 4 continents. 4 continents, those names I mentioned just now. Jambudvipa is on the south. Then Aparagoyana, then Uttarakuru and Puba Videha. And then you have Mount Sumeru is supposed to be a mountain. Maybe this is this mountain. So far we don't see it around here. It might be one of those fine material worlds. It's just like a spirit world. There are a lot of spirits around, but very few people can see them. And then the other heavens were mentioned. Now this 1,000-fold world system could be something like a galaxy. And the Buddha mentioned somewhere about, there's a term the Buddha used, Chakravala. Chakravala. Chakra is a disc. It's a disc, and we know a disc is flat. And nowadays they realize that a galaxy is flat like a disc. And so the Buddha said he could make his voice heard over such a great distance. So this is one instance. You see, even Arahant, disciple of a Buddha, can have such a mighty psychic power. But just speaking normally, he could make his voice heard over 1,000 world systems. The other thing about this sutta is the Buddha said that Ananda's great faith in the Buddha can make him 7 times the king of the Devas. I think that's Sakadeva Raja, king of the 33 heavens, Tavatimsa heaven. Said, and it's only, there's some later books only say when you have faith in the Buddha that you can get out of samsara. Actually, it's not. Just having faith like this can make you reborn into a heavenly world. But if you have unshakable faith in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha plus virtue, then the Buddha said you have attained the way, the first path. And also the other thing about this sutta is you find that the Buddha made a prediction here that Ananda will attain to arahanthood in this very life. The next sutta is 3.9.81. The Buddha said, monks, there are these 3 pursuits of a recluse to be put in practice by a recluse. A samana. What 3? The undertaking of the training in the higher morality, the higher mind, and the higher wisdom. These are the 3. The higher morality is the Adi Sila, higher mind is the Adi Chitta, and the higher wisdom is Adi Panya. These are the 3. And the Buddha continued, wherefore, monks, thus must you train yourselves. Keen shall be our desire to undertake the training in the higher morality. Keen shall be our desire to undertake the training in the higher mind and in the higher wisdom. That is how you must train yourselves. Suppose, monks, an ass follows close behind a herd of cows, thinking, I'm a cow too, I'm a cow too. But he is not like cows in color, voice, or hoof. He just follows close behind a herd of cows, thinking, I'm a cow too, I'm a cow too. Just in the same way, monks, we have some monk who follows close behind the order of monks, thinking, I'm a monk too, I'm a monk too. But he has not the desire to undertake the training in the higher morality which the other monks possess, nor that in the higher mind, nor that in the higher wisdom which other monks possess. He just follows close behind, thinking, I'm a monk too, I'm a monk too. Wherefore, monks, thus must you train yourselves. Keen shall be our desire to undertake the training in the higher morality, the higher mind, and the higher wisdom. That is how you must train yourselves. This is another interesting sutta here. The 3 things, the Adi Sila, Adi Chitta, and Adi Panya, is explained in another sutta which I shall come to soon. You see, in this sutta, the Buddha said, if a monk does not train in these three things, the higher morality, that means he keeps the precepts, and he does not train in the higher mind, which later on you find is concentration, and he does not train in attaining wisdom, then he is not a monk, even though he wears the robe, even though he looks like a monk. So you see, sometimes the Buddha can be very strict, very serious, very... you can see suttas like this, some monks don't like. That is why later you find there are some monks who belittle these original suttas of the Buddha and call them small vehicle suttas for inferior people, and all kinds of things they say about the Buddha's original discourses. And so much so that even nowadays very few monks would actually take up the suttas and explain them because of suttas like this, because he set up such a high standard for monks, especially that not all monks like to speak of these suttas.